your story is so great, and there's so much passion behind it. There's so much obviously like work and motivation behind it too.
Mhm.
But really, what I was thinking of asking was the no you got originally from when you were playing soccer. Like, no,
Mhm.
you aren't going to be good. How did that, and maybe the mindset of, because people when they hear no, they're like, okay, I'm just going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
How, instead of having that mindset, you said, okay, I'm just going to be a light to others. How did you jump that gap?
Yeah. So, if I'm being honest, initially it was not that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I typically, whenever I tell my story, I do try to like say I skipped over it here. What's really important to know, and I'm glad you like made that specification. I at 8, after getting no, had decided out of anger that I was going to prove them wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? And nothing else. I wasn't at 8, it was not to be a light. It was more so to be like, hey, like I'm going to prove you wrong. And out of anger, anger is what was the driving force to prove them and make that known. And so, I did that. And I think that realization is super important because like I said, from 8 until 13, when I got, I actually made a prestigious team, I had realized that out of anger, there was a void. And I hadn't been doing it to be a light. And so that's where I had to take a step back and be like, hey, like you worked so hard out of anger to prove someone wrong and you did it. You now what? Right? Like
Yeah.
you did it, but you feel hollow. And when I felt that, and that's where I've kind of people are always like amazed to where it's like you like why did you like no one if I'm being honest, like how many people have identified their purpose? Very few people, right? It's very hard to, and that we have a purpose problem. Like there's an identity crisis in our generation, several generations, where it's like I don't know what I want to do, right? And what I always say is that like I had discovered failure at 13, and that failure was emptiness after getting to a place that I had wanted to get to, but out of anger, that caused me to reflect and be like, hey, like you did this out of anger and you're not happy. So obviously that's not the key to success. That's not the key to fulfillment. And so like, what is? And that's when I realized like, I was created to be a light. Like my life, the reason why I was created and why you were created and why everyone was created, if I'm be honest, everyone's purpose is to be a light. That is without question. What the question is what platform allows you to fulfill your purpose, right? And the cool thing is, and the motivating thing that I always tell people is that you could be created and you may in your life, like the purpose in your life may be to be a light to only 3 people. That's it. Some people it could be 1,000,000, some people it could be 1,000, some people it could just be 3 people.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The question that I always try to ask people is that do you think that the way that you are living your life is allowing you to be prepared for when those 3 people cross your path, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I say even like to career choices, like that could be you could be a cash register, you could be a barista, you could be a teacher, you could be a filmmaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing to prepare yourself for that moment? And so, yeah, to answer your question, how did I bridge that gap? I bridged that gap after realizing that I had done it out of anger and there was a void, and that wasn't there. I didn't feel fulfillment. And so I had to search like what is going to cause it. And after I identified my purpose, every day moving forward has been driven with that passion, that fire to reach the people that I was created to reach.